The valve guides and the seats should be frozen before installation. You do this because you want to shrink the guide in order to make it easier to install. If the parts are not frozen, there is a chance that during the installation you could create cracks or deterioration of the casting. The insertion of the guides should be made with a mandrel or a special tool, as seen here. The guides should be installed before the seats. You should take one guide at a time from the freezer. It is recommended that clearance be left between the guide flange and the cylinder head. This will eliminate the possibility of distortion of the internal diameter of the guide. This space should be between 0.005 and 0.010 of an inch. It is a common practice to ream all guides to assure the finished dimension is obtained. Refer to the bulletins or the table for further information. The reaming should be done in both directions. The seats should be frozen before installation. For this installation, you have to use a special mandrel or an old valve in good condition. It is important to clean the debris between the contact surfaces to prevent damage to the parts. Ensure that the seats make full contact with the head surface. The stem of the mandrel should fit the guide and will act as a pilot. The next step is grinding the seats. For this, you need to paint the border of the seat with a black marker. This will ensure the grinding is uniform. The grinding stone is piloted from the guide. After grinding, you should look for marks not removed by the grinder. If you find this, it means that the grinding was not uniform and that you would have to repeat this step. Each one of the valves should be lapped to the seat. For this, use a good lapping compound such as Clover Grade E. The lapping should be applied until we get 100% contact between the valve and the seat. This is approximately 1/4 of an inch of the width of the circumference of the valve. Here you can see the results of lapping. Note the uniform line approximately 1/4 inch wide on both the valve and the seat. After lapping, it is very important to clean the parts and remove all of the lapping compound. If this is not done, the compound and other debris can cause premature wear of the parts. The next step is to lubricate the valves and put them into position. The remaining parts of the assembly should be cleaned and lightly lubricated. It is recommended that stress-relieved springs, as the one on the right side of the screen, be used. They can be identified by the appearance of the cutoff coil. Non-relieved springs have a blue discolored region, as the one shown on screen. Non-stress relieved springs are more likely to fail. Each spring has a tighter coil on one end. You have to make sure that this end of the spring goes against the cylinder head. It is important to install an O-ring on the intake valve. This will help to reduce oil consumption and excessive carbon buildup. The O-ring should not be installed on the exhaust valve. Finally, it is extremely important to install the keepers in sets as they were removed from the head. This will avoid the problem of one keeper taking more pressure than the other. After assembly, it is possible to perform a vacuum pump test to verify a positive valve seal. Finally, we paint and apply a preservative to the head. It is recommended that you properly mark the head with a serial number and the date to indicate when the head was rebuilt. It is important to remember proper installation and maintenance. For this purpose, you can refer to the technical bulletins numbers 1007 for maintenance issues and number 1033 for torquing procedures.